Hello everyone. Um, yeah, if you could do me a favor and just hold on 1 second. I think I need to restart my computer. I can feel some lag coming on, but we're going to start in a couple of minutes here. Okay, can everybody hear me? If you can, just do me a favor and drop something in the chat, and then we're going to get started in a couple of seconds here. Okay, great. So everybody can hear me. Let's get started. Okay, so let me set the kind of set the stage here for a second. I'm really excited to do this live today because my younger cousin has recently started making pizza, and it's really good. And we were talking about different ideas of basically having a mobile, pizza stand somewhere where you can put, outside of a shop where there's some nice grass, set up some tables, and I've been thinking about designing this thing. And so, yeah, just wanted to use this live session as a little proof of concept and go through a couple of design variations. So first thing I'm going to do is basically come here to settings, so blue button, settings, and set up a couple of things that I like to have on usually when I'm creating. So the first is vertical lock. Basically, that's just going to keep the z-axis up. And then the next is turning on mirror. So then that way, whenever I sketch, everything's mirrored on the other side. And we can turn that off if we have a section probably on the interior that's not going to be symmetrical. So we can learn some tricks there. And then because we're making this mobile cart, it's going to have wheels. We want to basically respect the ground plane. So there's this option here, stage floor, all the way to the left is off, round, and then square. I like to have round. It kind of looks like a turntable. And then world axes, of course. So I like to have world axes on just because I like to see where 0, 0, 0 is, and it helps me whenever I'm using Smart Move. And we'll go over Smart Move in a little bit as well. Okay, so first thing is first, let's come here to references, and I basically grabbed a bunch of stuff off of Pinterest recently, just to get the juices flowing. And there's some of these designs that I think kind of hit the mark pretty well, but can also use some improvements to fit exactly what he's doing when making pizzas. So this one I really like. I'll pull that out here. And I usually grab way more reference than I need, and also try to have a balance of, very conservative options, and then, options that are kind of out there as well. So, wow, okay, I have a lot more reference than I originally thought I did. That should be everything. Is that everything? That's everything, unless we want to bring in a helicopter. Okay, so this is a ton of images, and I'm probably actually going to go through and delete, a lot of these actually. But the first thing I want to do is basically, if I just make some scrap geometry here in the center and I start moving this around and scaling, these images aren't really parented or what we would call anchored to the scene. And so the first thing I want to do is anchor these images so that when I move, these images move and scale with me. And it's mainly important for scaling. So the way to do that is basically to grab an image and hold it. And once you're holding it, that blue menu button, you'll see I'm just grabbing and letting go of this image here. That blue menu button there is going to change into an anchor icon. So once you hold it, press the blue button, now we have an image anchored. So I'm going to expand the grab sphere. You can do that by going up and down on the joystick. Grab all of these images here, blue button, anchor them at the same time. And now, because they're anchored, they're kind of recognized as geometry. So you'll see that the stage floor expands with that. So, all right, that's great. We got our images here. We can create like a nice mood board in the background while we're creating. But before we start creating, obviously this is something that needs to respect human packaging, right? So the human form. You have to be able to enter this thing. The service counter has to be at the right height so that people aren't reaching up or reaching too far down. So what we want to do is design contextually around the human form or the human body. So what we're going to do here is actually place in a mannequin as some reference. So let's press the blue menu button and go to Prefabs. So Prefabs is split up into two sections, built-in models, import models. I don't think we're going to get into import models. Maybe we might, but we're definitely going to use built-in models. So this is basically everything that Gravity Sketch gives you. You can think of it as like reference data. And so we can reach in here, grab the mannequin, pull them out like this. And what's really nice is you can take this mannequin and adjust it, and it's got a lot of awesome features. But this says nothing about the scale. We can design contextually around the mannequin, but we have no idea what scale the mannequin is actually at. So what we want to do is actually import this guy or this girl into the scene at 1:1 scale. So let's reach out, grab one of the mannequins, and when you're holding them, just drag them over to this blue box until it turns green. So it says drop here to preview import. So we're technically importing this mannequin. So hold it over till it's green, let go of the grab trigger, and you'll notice two things now. One, the mannequin is actually imported at 000, but I can't reach out and grab that person or move them. And they're kind of highlighted right now. So that's a preview. And then the second thing you'll notice is that on the side of your menu here, on the right-hand side, you have a couple of options or a preview for the import. So we can rotate the mannequin like this, and we have the actual height of the mannequin, so a little bit of information there. And then we can import the mannequin by pressing the blue menu button right there. So let's get male and female into the space. All right, got them both imported. Can shift them back and put them into edit mode and start adjusting these limbs. So when you first take a mannequin, put them into edit mode, you get these green limbs, which are really great for these gestural kind of movements for an entire limb. So this allows you to move an entire limb, but if we flick the joystick to the right or the left, we can cycle through entire limb movement or individual joint movement. So that's really nice because then we could get really precise here, down to the knuckles for the hands. And yeah, so we'll make use of that in a little bit as well. But right now, let's just bring the arms down so that they're not in T-pose. Okay, great. So we have our mannequins in the scene. Let's actually grab these images and just sort of scale them down so, this all makes sense. And yeah, let's select some reference images. I'm just going to double check and make sure that this is, okay, cool. Smooth head cam is on. You guys are seeing everything as smooth as it can come across. Okay, so let's take a look at these reference images and just pull some stuff out that seems interesting. So let's start with this one. I know I definitely want this image. What I like about it is it has this very modern look. It's got that steel roof and it kind of curves into the design or slices into the design right here. So it doesn't look like it's just a regular, rectangle. And it gives this kind of nice open glass section right here. Now, I think this is actually probably a mobile, like a tiny home or something. But I love some of these graphical or graphics in the shape here. So we're gonna keep this image. I think there's a way of turning that into like a service window. Here's another image, basically the same thing. What's really nice about this image here is it's kind of crazy low resolution, but you have an image of a person in there, and that's awesome because it just lets me know what the scale is for this. So that helps a lot as well. I like this one. It's pretty standard, you know, just a flip up cover here, and you know, a big counter and some drinks on the counter. So it's pretty classic. Let's keep that. This image is nice because it's basically a different type of opening. It's almost like a store boutique that was just airdropped there, and you open the doors and you can start selling things. This is pretty cool, but I'm gonna cut this one out actually because it's like one of those classic camper van things. Really cool looking, but I would want to build this up, you know, off of a trailer and have something, you know, specialty built for a purpose, right? So not converting something that already exists. So we can get rid of that, and I thought this was kind of a cool idea, but not doing a food truck, so can take that, delete it. And let's just quickly go through and delete any of the other ones that fit that build. So a lot of these pre-made trailers we're gonna cut out here and basically just forget about. And look at some of these more structured options here. This was kind of nice because it's a hybrid, right? So this guy clearly brings out some tables, and then, you know, has the truck as the, you know, the main place for ingredients and you know, even the pizza oven there. Yeah, it's another approach, and we might as well entertain it. So we're going to keep that image. Always good to have some of these pizza ovens here. I mean, they're actually going to be in the design, so let's just bring them over. Have to compensate for the spacing of those. This is a kind of a cool build in progress. I like this one as well, mainly because they built up these stairs here, which is really cool because I've always noticed it's kind of awkward to order from a food truck sometimes. Usually the window's like way too high, or you're not on the same eye level as the people that you're ordering from, which is, I've never really liked that experience. So they kind of address that there, which is cool. And yeah, this one's cool too. So we're gonna stick with that. This one, actually, man, I like a lot of these. So we're just gonna forcefully cut a lot out as well. Yeah, this one's really good. Okay. All right. And the rest of this is just really repetitive. So these are the images we're going to stick with. Yeah, I like this one too. And let's grab them and shift them over here. Basically, this is going to act as an inspiration or a mood board for us while we're sketching out some ideas. And the other nice thing we can do here is actually grab all these images and hold the purple button and group them together. Okay, so that's all grouped together, great. The next thing that I want to do is figure out the general dimensions of the trailer that we're going to be building off of. So yeah, let's do like 16 feet by 6 feet, I think. Maybe 8 feet, 6 or 8 feet, but we'll figure that out in a second. So first thing I'm going to do is actually turn on the grid tool. So let's see what that looks like. Blue button, settings, submenus up here, beta tab. So if you haven't used the beta tab yet, there's a couple of cool options in here. Contextual measurements, so when you're moving things around, it will show you a measurement readout. The grid tool and tool belt, and you know, those are in plenty of other videos. We might use some of these features, so we'll cover them here probably. But first, let's turn on the grid tool. The first option slider here allows you to enable or disable the grid tool, and then we can actually turn on the grid. And once you turn on the grid, it's going to be a little difficult to see here, but if you look around my hand, it only is visible where your right hand controller is. And you can kind of see that the stylus is snapping to a grid whenever I'm moving it around. So that's what we're going to use. And we can actually adjust the density as well. It looks like 20 is the highest. Okay, and now what we're going to do is press the purple button. Let's just drop a cube in here, something to work off of. So select the cube, pointer finger trigger, and drop in a basic cube, just like that. Now let's take this, put it into edit mode, and then grab these sliders and shift them out like this. So I don't want this to be too high yet. Actually, yeah, let's just make it a platform for the bottom right now. and let's shift it towards the center like that, and we can turn off the grid. We really only needed that to place the cube so that it was, you know, perfectly gridded to the environment. So let's turn that off and take this cube, add a little bit of height there, and convert it to sub D. Now the reason I'm converting it to sub D is because I want to take this face over here, just drag it to the mirror plane and connect it so that it's a mirrored object. So you'll see if I start moving it around, everything's mirrored on the other side, but it's connected across here, across the mirror plane. And you can see that because the icon has changed from a hollow edit point or dot to a solid black square with a keyhole icon kind of punctured through there. Okay, so I'm going to guess what 16 feet looks like by 8 feet. And a little rudimentary dimensions. Yeah, okay, so that looks generally right. And let's measure it now, you know, officially. So we're going to use the tool belt to do this. It's in the beta tab. You turn it on there. I think I already have it enabled. And then once you actually want to put on the tool belt or use those features, you hold this grab trigger and you swing across your body. Do the same thing to get rid of it. All right, so have the tool belt on. Let's grab the measuring tape and just generally point from corner to corner here. Looks like we have about 12 feet there. So let's add some additional footage. That might do the trick. Again, generally just click, point, point. All right, let's take away a foot. And this is what contextual measurements does, is it allows you to actually see how far you're moving something. So I don't need to be perfect with this. I'm just going to take away a foot, and that's good enough for me. We're just doing some brainstorming right now. Okay, about 7 feet that way. Let's just assume that, you know, 7 feet is good, and then maybe you have a foot for wheels as well. And I also just want to kind of get an idea of the height that we have here off the ground. That seems like a pretty decent height. Maybe we can go even up a couple of inches like that. So we can shift our people up as well and even duplicate a person. And yeah, that looks like a decent height. Okay, so let's change that to be like a darker color and duplicate this cube up. So the next thing I want to do, let's change this color, is figure out what the height is going to be here. So if we take a look at some of our reference images here, like obviously these people have to be comfortable inside here while they're creating. Yeah, okay, here's a good example. This guy has like a really nice high roof on this coffee stand here. You know, he's kind of bent over here, but she's standing up straight and it looks like there's like 3 feet above them. So let's just go what looks like, you know, a couple of feet above our occupants here. And yeah, that's a really nice height. We can even lower this down a bit. That's still plenty of roof for them. Okay, cool. So I think that's a pretty good height for inside. Let's measure that and just see what we got. Okay, 6'15". I'm 6'1". Yeah, that's enough space. Yeah, that's good. And we can always adjust this later. Okay, cool. So this is obviously a lot of space for people to work in. And what we're going to start doing is basically, let me just make a really bright color here. Basically, what we're going to start to do here is block out where things are going to go. We need a counter space for somebody to work off of. Standard counter depth is, I think, 24 inches. And then, you know, we might want 36 inches high. But this blocking phase is going to be super helpful to figure out what things need to be in here and you know, how much space they're going to entertain. So the first thought I was having was actually, let me turn off mirror here. So the initial thought I had when I was thinking about this project was basically having pizza walls across the entire, or pizza ovens across the entire back wall. So you can imagine you have a counter like this, let's duplicate it back, And then, you know, this guy's back here making pizzas, pulling them in and out of the oven. And you have like a pizza opening here, oven opening there, and maybe you have 3 across the back wall like this. And then you can kind of segment the rest of this area for like storage or ingredients or, you know, fridge or freezer or whatever you need. And, you know, you have 3 ovens that are just cranking out these pizzas. What's interesting is I went last week to see, you know, him actually, my cousin actually make these things. And it was maybe, you know, 60 seconds to cook a pizza. They're nice and thin. So it kind of makes sense to have bigger ovens and, you know, like 2 or 3 of them so that you can toss in multiple pizzas and just really quickly have them, you know, going in and out. So yeah, this is originally what I was thinking. Something like this. And then a counter in the front here. Let's just duplicate this one actually. For customers to come up to. And then you could have, like in our reference over here, some stairs so that the customers can kind of like talk to you on the same eye level. So let's place that here. Let's actually just duplicate this out like that. Yeah, something like this for the stairs. Yeah, okay, something like that. So we can duplicate this guy over, and rotating is so weird sometimes. Okay, there we go. So he's like, hey, give me a pizza, come on. Maybe this lady's taking the order. And this actually, it's like a pretty big stand. So I mean, that feels about right, but one thing I'm probably doing here is really underestimating the amount of storage that's needed. But the nice thing is, under this counter space here, there's plenty of room for storage, so we can use all of that. Yeah, but this is a good start. Let's see if anybody has any questions in the comments. So yeah, that's a great question about rotation. You can't actually smart move rotation without the tool belt, but if you do decide to use the tool belt here, the precision tool, you can click there and turn on snap and actually rotate in degrees of, I think it's like 10 or 15. And, oh, it's 5. Okay, 5-degree increments. And yeah, that's really useful. But if you're just using your controllers like this is more of like a quick way of rotating. So it's not going to be super precise. Okay, so let's figure some other things out here as well. I really like over here these like flip up stands, because you can like you can put the menu on them. They can provide, you know, shade or even a little bit of protection from, you know, outdoor elements. So let's just roughly draw here. Actually, first let's segment things on layers here. So let's go to the layers tab here and let's label this one base and create a new one and call this sketch. So we're going to do all our sketching ideas over top of the base here. Oh, maybe we should switch this actually. So let's call this one sketch and this one base, and this one sketch, and make a new one for references. So let's call that ref. Let's grab the reference images, drop them on the reference layer. There we go, that's nice. Lock it. And we can even shift it to be the first option here. And then let's take the sketch layer. Sorry, let's take the base objects and drop them on the base layer like this and lock that. And we can even shift it up like that. So it's reference, base, and then sketch. And now by default, all the sketch lines that we've used are going to be on the sketch layer. So that's the layer we want to be on right now. So let's do a little more thinking here and draw out what the top of this is going to look like and rotate this up like that. So now we have kind of a canopy coming off. We could choose, how far we want that to come up. That looks kind of nice like that. You can imagine they hang some lights. All right, that looks good. And yeah, so basically as far as storage goes, I think we need storage for propane tanks. So we could just make a general shape down here for a propane tank. And we'll build all this out in a little bit as well. And you probably want like 2 per oven. So let's space them down here like that. And then one thing that I haven't actually figured out is the depth of the oven. So let's just quickly see how deep what I drew there is. Okay, so that's about 2 feet. And we probably want to leave, a couple of inches at the back there just for any hoses. All right, so let's space these out, duplicate them down. All right, so that's some general sizing for the ovens. And then we want maybe a little bit of a lip here on the counter for the oven as well, just a couple of inches. And then we're going to need a sink as well. So I think here is probably where we could place the sink. And then you can imagine that this would be like tile from the back to the counter. Probably here as well. Maybe a little nozzle. And duplicate that down for the sink. Let's maybe make it like 2 tubs. Cool. And then here have like a little square system to take orders. And on this wall, we could even do like some shelving for storage. Like this. So it takes away a little bit from our counter space, but it's probably going to be useful to have some general purpose storage. All right, let's just assume that's a storage for now. And then the last thing here is we're going to build all of this really nicely soon, I promise. But let's just assume that we have the some sort of a tow hitch here as well. So I don't know, maybe it looks something like that. And wheels, we need to place the wheels as well. And we're going to import the wheels. But I'm thinking the wheels will be right about here. Don't really have a choice. They're kind of predetermined on the trailer. And let's actually just duplicate this entire object here. Or sorry, mirror it. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Yeah, starting to make sense. And I think we probably want to clear this section out for a door. Or what we could do is actually close this wall here. Yeah, close this off like that. And then have the counter wrap around kind of. Okay, let's actually swap that just so that this wall is kind of aligned with the tire here. And then these stairs yeah, that's kind of cool. Okay, I'm kind of changing my mind on a lot of things here. Let's, so here's what I'm thinking now. We take this accent wall, bring it back here. Take the sink and place it here. Have a door going out back here. And have this back wall open up like this. You can even have it flip down like a counter here. And then have the other half either open up this way or flip up like this. Depends. Anyways, I'm liking this layout a lot better. And what we can do is unlock the base, duplicate this down so that we have two different variations, and just kind of play around this new concept. So I'm quickly going to come through here and sketch this out. First, I'm going to lock the base. And let's grab our sink. And move it over here, like I said before. This is all blocked off now. This is a wall. It'd be kind of nice if we could even shift this counter out like that. But we'll worry about that in a little bit. Let's shift the payment system down, lady down, the guy ordering down. Got a line around the block. Okay, yeah, this makes sense. Then you can actually choose the pizza that you want there, read it off the menu, keep moving. And like here could be like condiments or something like that. Okay, door back here. Pizza ovens are still, you know, central right there. And then maybe we actually just have two ovens, and then, yeah, no, that's fine. We'll stick with this. Okay, this is the concept that we're running with. So I'm going to come back here, delete the rest of this. Let's unlock base here, delete that. Take all this info and use Smart Move to shift it back onto axes and start to build this out. So let's keep everything that we have here as reference, except for the base. So let's lower the sketch here. And in fact, let's take everything and change it to be the same color. So let's change it to be blue. Let's lower the sketch, leave that as reference, and then lock the sketch and start adjusting the base here a little bit. So first thing we want to do for the base is obviously segment out these larger portions. So I'm going to create a wall here. So let's just connect it there. And then add an edge loop right about here where we want this, this closed off section to be. So point, click, drop in an edge loop. And then let's delete this entire face here. just like that. All right. And now what I want to do is bake this cube so that it's no longer mirrored on either side, but it's just one solid object. So let's come here and bake the mirror. So now you'll see that if I move the corner up on this side, it's not going to, shift the corner up on that side. All right, awesome. And one other thing I'm realizing is I really wanted to keep this element here, sort of what this roof is doing. So let's just try and mock that up real quick. Let's scooch this down and see what it would look like if we shifted the roof up like that. And shifted this section up. Is it backing up? It's kind of a cool shape. And we could duplicate this over in the back. For the doorway, okay, that looks kind of cool. And actually, I'm going to delete the floor out here because that's going to be the bottom of the trailer anyways. So I don't really want that data to connect quite yet. And we can make this like a nice warm wood color. Okay. Yeah, that's an interesting layout. This is like a simpler layout, but it could still work. All right, let's see if we have any questions here. Okay, Ollie. Let's see if we can look that up. Oh yeah, this is a cool food stand. Thanks for dropping that in the comments. Man, this is like really grand. Has a very like classic look as well. Yeah, super cool. Thanks for dropping that in the comments. Okay, Chalkboard, good note. Actually, Massimo Vosa right there. That's my cousin. That's the guy that's making the pizza. All right, so yeah, that's a great idea. I was thinking Chalkboard could go right here. Let's change all of this to Tune material here. I just kind of like the look that it gives. And let's duplicate this up and let's just segment the roof, actually. So the roof, we can imagine that's going to be like some sort of like metal roofing, like this. And let's delete it away from the walls. All right, nice. And let's lighten up that wood. Okay, all of this can change, so no worries there. All right, let's put in some counters here. So I'm gonna come back here to settings and beta and turn on grid. We're going to click primitives, drop in a cube, and then we are going to turn off grid and make our countertops. So I was thinking, I really like these, thick butcher block counters. They're really, really nice and could probably be used here. So let's take that, convert that to sub D, drag that all the way to the back here, and have some butcher block counters. All right, let's lower that and just assume that the stairs down here are going to be like a nice wood as well. Let's shift that in so you can step up and buy your pizzas. And drop in an edge loop here. Shift that back. Duplicate this section out here. Just about right there. We want an L, but we don't necessarily want people, you know, walking on this side of the trailer. Okay, great. Let's duplicate that down about 7 inches. Let's shift it out here. And we want these to be like nice wide stairs, almost kind of like bleachers. Yeah, just like that. And maybe we actually even shift this in again. Right about there. And shift it back. There's a lot of shifting going on. Actually, it'd be a lot better if I just deleted this edge loop, and then we can just grab this entire face and move it back like that. Okay, cool. That's nice. And I'm assuming that this would be something that you actually have on the location already. You just kind of like pull the trailer up into it and maybe even lock it into place. But that's what's kind of showing in our reference here for this option. This is something they built externally, and then they brought this, you know, shopping location to it. So I really like that look. And I actually also really like this exposed wood interior and some sort of, I guess here they have like tiling on the outside. It makes it look really, really nice. And it actually probably would be pretty easy to clean as well. These lights are great too. We can do something like that here. I also like these slide doors. It's kind of like this window frame aesthetic. Maybe we can add that here. Yeah, actually, let's give that a shot. Let's mock that up pretty quickly. So what we can do here is take the stroke tool and let's just set that to square type like that. Change it to a darker color so it kind of looks like the frame for a window. And then what we're going to do is turn on snapping, but we need to draw a line first and we need to turn on planar as well. So planar, if you haven't used it before, you can draw on a flat plane. Super, super useful, especially if you're trying to be more precise in Gravity Sketch, which a lot of people are. And yeah, so like I basically set the plane in the environment, and now I can just draw on that flat plane. Again, all of this is eyeballing. We're just trying to prove out the concept real quick and you know, see what we can do. All right, let's do that, and let's have the panes like, oof, that's too small. Yeah, like about a foot apart. All right, let's see what that looks like. And we kind of have some weird spacing right here. It's not a problem. Let's just shift the wall over a little bit like that. And let's group all these guys together, except for this one here. I'm going to duplicate it up, and then, yeah, then we can group it together. Okay, so now let's take this, put it into edit mode, and turn on snapping. So snap, and we can actually snap it to these other lines. So snapping is really awesome because it's going to allow you to snap to any other edit point in the scene. It doesn't matter if it's another line or another surface or you know what it is, you can snap to it. So it's pretty useful for this feature. Okay. All right, that's kind of interesting. Let's see what they did here. Okay, it's like actually gridded the other way as well. So like this. We're just gonna eyeball this. And let's try and like toss a sheet of glass in there as well. So I'm just gonna use regular plane. So let's just duplicate out stuff that we already have. So I duplicated out the walls. I'm gonna delete away all these points. Let's turn off snap and change this to kind of like a, let's make it like a bluish gray, bluish black, and overlap it with the frame here, like this. Just generally get it inside the boundaries. Great. And now if we want to fake glass and gravity sketch, the best thing you can do is come here to layers, create a new one. Let's name it glass. Grab that surface, drop it on the glass layer, and adjust the visibility. So let's bring it down to about halfway. And then the last thing you can do is grab that, hold in the color menu button, and select reflective. And we should be able to punch that up by changing our HDR here under workspace, custom HDR, to something like these two options are the best, outdoor or skyline. And that's going to give us some sort of reflection here. Now we're in Pittsburgh at the moment, so trees kind of make a little more sense, but that's all right. We'll leave it on skyline for right now. Okay, great. So let's shift this out just a bit. Keeps grouping. That's all right. All right, let's group all of these shapes together. And yeah, rotate this back part so that it's flush with the wall. So for this, we'll actually use the precision tool. Use rotate. We have snap on already, and I think 10 degrees should do the trick. It's probably not exactly 10 degrees. Yeah, definitely not. And that's okay, because we can just eyeball it. So it's somewhere in between. It's probably like 2 degrees. Okay, yeah, let's just see if that works. Yeah, all right, awesome. This is kind of like kind of getting like a Asian cuisine vibe with this like gridded glass. It's really cool. Almost looks like it could be like a mobile sushi bar. All right, and let's see what this would look like if we rotated it up. Okay, so it's not rotating the way I want it to, but it is spurring on some new ideas here, which is like all the different ways you could open this up. It could even be like hinges here, like a garage door, and kind of roll up, which would be kind of cool. But let's just duplicate it out and eyeball this, see what it looks like. This is probably the best thing about Gravity Sketch, is being able to duplicate things along a row like this and just get so many different variations of the idea, or even show, you know, the progression of an idea, which is kind of what's happening here. Yeah. Well, anyways, let's continue modeling some other parts of this. So let's move the counter back here. And actually, before we do anything with this counter, I want to make sure it's 24 inches. Again, that is the standard kitchen counter depth. And doesn't look like we're quite there, but it's close enough. Maybe we just move it back a couple of inches. Okay. And so basically, when you order a counter like that, that's the dimensions that are going to be available to you. All right, let's shift it back so that it's not in the way of the door back here, and we can shift it back a couple of inches there from the doorway as well. This is looking really weird, being kind of like a wood exterior. So let's just change that to be like anything else. I mean, like a red would be better for the time being. But I don't like all the wood just kind of working together like that. Okay, so the pizza ovens, that's the next thing. If we look here, we have 3 of them in a line so that you can kind of walk down the row here and like pull out these pizzas. And I imagine that you can have the boxes stacked underneath here and or boxes stacked underneath here, and then probably like some sort of a freezer here for the dough, so that you can take it out, let it thaw on the counter, and just keep moving. So yeah, let's make the pizza ovens. But first, just to get a little better idea of like what these textures and materials are going to look like, there's a little hack you can do in Gravity Sketch where let's go to Cloud Reference. Basically, you can bring out a reference image of a texture, and you can use it as a material on an object. Now, it's kind of like texture mapping, except for you don't have a whole lot of control over it. So for instance, let's pull out that wood material and see how it's kind of transparent. That's because we're on the glass layer. Probably shouldn't do that. Let's select the base layer to work off of and drop that onto the base layer. Okay. So we have this wood texture. It's just an image right now, but because it's in the space, if I grab this material, so this countertop, and hold in the color menu button, it will populate that image as an, how do I say this, a material to choose from. So you can see it doesn't look too good there. You can kind of make it look better by putting, tune material on. It kind of lightens it up, which makes it look a little bit better, but it's definitely not mapping, correctly here. But I think, it works. Let's see if we stretch it out this way, if it's better. No, it's just going to be bad either way. Okay, we're not going to use that. We might use it down here. Yeah, it's not working well there. It works really well if you just leave something as a primitive shape. So for instance, yeah, if we just had that, I guess it stretches oddly there as well. But it seems a little better. Like, that's kind of a more believable countertop, right? That's all right. We'll save that for another time then. It works sometimes. That's what I can say. Okay. And I just want to do one more thing in the back here. We can make like a little step for whoever's working the booth. Let's duplicate this shape out and use this one. Okay. Let's add some text here as well. So let's just write pizza real big. Pizza. Make it nice and red like that. And I'm going to turn on grid so that whenever I move it around, hopefully, it's going to move in a gridded fashion. It's not, so we're just going to use rotate here. And let's duplicate it back and make like a darker version as well here. So it's kind of like the backing for the letters. Okay. And let's make that pretty damn big. All right, let's take a look at our reference. And if you guys want to right now, just drop something in the comments. Let me know if you're feeling this or not. I'm kind of feeling the design is kind of weak right now. So we can keep going on with like different variations. And if you drop in some comments, like I'll definitely read through them and we could take everything into consideration. This is just the starting point. I'm probably going to spend some time on this on my own to figure out, you know, what this can be as well. I really like these lights though. They're definitely something we can incorporate here. But yeah, let me check out the comments and see what you guys are thinking, if you're feeling this design or not. How did I select multiple objects and grab them together? Okay, so multiple objects, if you want to grab multiple objects, you can, well, first off, to grab anything, you're going to use the grab sphere here and highlight it and intersect it and then hold the grab button to move it. But if you want to grab multiple objects, you can expand your grab sphere by going up and down on the joystick. And then that way you can encompass multiple objects like this, grab, hold, and move it around. So that's pretty much how you do that. All right, let's keep going through and building this. So, and I'll keep coming back to comments, so don't be discouraged if I didn't check it right there. If you dropped in an idea, I will be back. Okay, so let's drop in a new occupant here. This lady, import, drag her over here. Actually, let's shift all of this back so I can unlock all of the sketch layers there as well. Shift this back. This is the one we're working on now, right? And let's set her to a brighter color and tune material and just start laying out the scene. I kind of want to picture some people actually, you know, doing some of the actions here. So like right off the bat here, I'm kind of realizing that this counter is way too low. It should probably be about there. And in fact, let's just duplicate this down and see how far we move this up. So about 3 feet, I think, is good. Yeah, it's probably even a little bit high for her, so let's drop it a couple inches like that. Countertop is a couple inches as well. And yeah, so that makes a little more sense for the counter. Let's shift that back for the workstation, just like this. And let's duplicate one over for where the sink is going to be as well. So shift this back like this. Okay, imagine that's where the sink is going to go. Probably going to have a door frame here as well. So let's duplicate that in a bit, just a couple of inches. Shift the step over. All right, so she is processing an order. Oh, I have some overlapping geometry here. Oh, that's kind of interesting. We could also stagger counter space like this. Kind of like that idea. That's all right, we're not going to worry about that right now. Okay, so let's give her a POS system. Just going to make something up here. Let's use the volume tool. Let's turn it to planar. And let's set the plane right here and draw a shape. So let's have our 4 corners, just like this. And forget all of that. Let's use a sub D cube. Shrink it down like this. Let's make it white. Drop it here. Duplicate this up. Thin it out and duplicate it up one more time and make this like a kind of like a black reflective surface. So that will be the screen. Let's group it. Let's rotate it. And let's drop that to the ground. Subdivide it. Drop in some edge loops here to give us some radius on it. And drop in some more edge loops here. Okay. All right, and that's good enough for the POS for right now. We can always come back to this. In fact, let's just add a little bit of a wire here as well, just for some very unnecessary detail. Okay, so let's say that she is placing an order. Rotate the fingers in like this, and you can see how you can pretty easily paint out like a user scenario for even small products like a touchscreen POS system. Okay, placing the order, talking to the customer. And let's bring over another person as the customer here. Also kind of noticing that this stair should probably move back a bit. It's a little shallow. All right, let's scooch her over and let's make some pizza boxes in the space as well. I know this stuff is probably not the most exciting to see being built, but it's super helpful for me to visualize what's going on. Okay, these are like relatively small pizzas, so let's move them in like this, thinner box. Let's make it some sort of like white-ish paper. Gotta add a little chaos. They can't just be perfectly stacked up. Okay, and someone mentioned a chalkboard earlier, so let's quickly place that in here as well. Shift this up. Nice big chalkboard on the wall here. All right, and this is kind of a cool trick, but you can turn on projection mode here, and let's just choose something that looks like chalk. You can actually like write stuff on here. I'm not gonna say it's the most precise thing in the world, but it's kind of useful sometimes. Get your pizza. Okay, and let's import some wheels as well for like the cart here. So this is where we can go back to the Prefabs tab and go to imports here. Now, I know I've made a wheel before as a template. I've saved it as a prefab that we can use. So I'm going to search for that real quick, but if I can't find that, I can definitely grab a wheel off of one of the cars that I've made in the past, and we could just basically move around some points and make that work as well. I see a lot of shoes. Wheels? Oh, wheelchair. Here we go. Here's some wheels. So click. So there's two things you can do. You can point and click and import it, or you can just reach in and grab that object. I'm just going to import it properly like this. And yeah, and then we could just use the wheel like this. Let's scale it up a bit here. And yeah, it's probably going to be about right there is where the wheel's probably going to be placed. So that's kind of cool to know, because now we can actually come in here and cut a section out on the stairs here, and so that it can kind of like fit the wheels that we have on the trailer. Make that nice and snug. Oh, that looks pretty cool. You could even have some sort of a wheel cover if you wanted. Let's darken that up, and that looks really modern for like a trailer wheel. So let's duplicate that out and just make something that looks a little more today. And you could just do all that with clicking in points like this. That's the easiest way to add detail to like a revolve shape. All right, that's plenty of detail. In fact, it's probably going to be a little bit thinner as well. Yeah, that looks way more like a trailer wheel. All right, just like that. Duplicate it on the other side. So looks pretty good. All right, let's see if anybody has any ideas in the comments here. 12 to 14-inch box. Okay, good note. Oh, thanks, Linus. Oh man, I wish I could read Russian. I can't. Handicapped person. Yeah, that's a good note. Well, I'm assuming because... Yeah, I'm assuming because it's like a small shop like this, you could probably just like run down there and take an order if you have somebody, you know, that is handicapped that's looking to order. But it's a good note. Like we should definitely consider that here. One thing that I forgot to do that I wanted to do was bring the counter out this way. So let's, I don't know, choose right there and duplicate this counter in like that. Now I don't really know if I want this on the outside of the on the outside or the inside, or if we actually want it to like overlap like this so that there's a little bit of a lip on the inside that's usable and one on the outside as well. Let's leave it inside for right now, and let's delete away that wall and just see what that looks like. Doesn't look like it's gonna work that well here. Looks kind of odd. Let's put it back. This is kind of the cool thing that you can do here with the history clock is toggle between your options. So I don't think it really works. We can always adjust that in the future though. So we could leave it as an option. One thing I do want to do right now is add some depth for the roof. Now, a lot of people ask basically what is the best way of adding, how would you say this, like thickness to a surface in Gravity Sketch, especially if it's sub D. And it's definitely not the easiest thing in the world, I'll say that. But what I like to do is duplicate down the object like this. And let me show you this. These are two separate surfaces right now. And so what we want to do is combine them now. So for instance, if I take this one, put it into edit mode, this other one is not in edit mode. And it's because they are two different surfaces, but we can merge them together. So let's hold down what used to be the color wheel button. It changes into this hammer and brush icon when you are, how do I say this? When a piece of sub D geometry is in edit mode, and it gives you these tools that you can use for sub D. So let's select the merge tool here, point, click, just as simple as that, and now they're merged. You can see it changed the material and the color type, and now we can see the edit points on both surfaces. So now you just duplicate out an edge like this. So grab it, hold it, press the pointer finger trigger. That's how you duplicate anything in Gravity Sketch. And then it's pretty much a game of connect the dots. So duplicate it out, drag it over to some edit points somewhere else. I don't know what's going on here, why this is... Oh, okay, well we fixed it. And yeah, just go around and match these points up. Kind of realizing right now that it probably would have been a smart idea to have Massimo on the call so that he could be like talking me through some of the different thoughts that he has for this. And then everybody could hear like the conversation between both of us. All right, so now we have thickness for the roof. Let's drop this down like that. And yeah, that looks pretty good. Maybe we even want the roof to overhang a little bit like that. Kind of looks cool. Let's try scaling it up, see what that looks like. Oh, that's interesting. Like if it overhangs that much. All right, it might not be the best thing, but works for right now. All right, and then I want to shift this up as well. this is making less and less sense as as I'm living with it. That's all right, we'll leave it for now. Okay, let's make some propane tanks because that's super exciting. Okay, we're just going to start with the Revolve Tool. So if you haven't used the Revolve Tool before, it's really awesome. You can make all these revolve shapes, super natural, really quick. And the best way that I have found to use this is to just make a shape, take it, and edit it in post. You'll almost never be able to draw the shape perfectly. I mean, it's fun for like creative exploration, but after you have that creative exploration, it's really helpful to put it into edit mode and get everything, exact by moving around these different points. Could just be me, but that's what I've noticed. All right. If I remember correctly, it's kind of hard to remember what a propane tank looks like, but that's pretty close, I think. They're not the most exciting objects. It's not like something you really pay attention to and catalog in your mind. But let's group these two separate pieces. So hold them, press the purple button, and let's make this propane tank color. All right, and let's drag it over. Okay, yeah, see, I shifted it a little bit there. All right, yeah, let's drag this over here and place it as storage underneath the counter here. Now, whether we want this to be inside or outside, that's another question, and we can save that for later. It doesn't seem like a point we should focus on right now, but let's group them together and in groups of 2, duplicate them across the wall here. And again, that is going to be for the oven. So basically, if we were to, let's see, oh, I have projection mode on right now. So if we were to just literally draw a line up like this, that would go and actually plug into the oven here. So that's what we're going to design next. That's kind of the big feature item on this is the ovens. And then the other thing I want to do is actually just duplicate down this counter. We're just going to reuse this geometry, shift it in a couple of inches here, and drop it to the ground here. And that is going to be our cabinets. And my Slack is blowing up right now, so I'm just going to very quickly look at what's going on there. Okay. All right, great. So I'm just going to change that to like some sort of a green color for now, and I can always adjust that later. And let's actually duplicate this out and use it as the counters over here as well. I'm sorry, not the counters, but the storage. And maybe what we can do is actually lower it here and duplicate down this counter just a bit and bring it in here. So it's like we kind of like a dual counter. And these cabinets are definitely going to look weird if they're not lifted off the ground a little bit. These are the small details you kind of realize really do a lot, or play a lot into your psyche about what looks correct in a kitchen or like a workshop or something like that. So it's small details that make the differences. So yeah, just inset a little bit there at the bottom. Oh, let's see. Yeah, we still have the sink here. I'm thinking the sink counter should almost be like a stainless steel, something super easy to clean. But we don't really need to worry about that right now. Let's think about, oh, that's kind of cool, green like that. Let's think about the pizza ovens, right? So we have them spaced out right here. That's not based off of any dimensions. That's just sort of us rough thinking. And we have some pictures of pizza ovens here. Now, pizza ovens, they kind of like vary a lot. Like there's little steel ones that you can get that run off of propane. There's wood fire. There's complete stonework ones like we're kind of seeing in the pictures here. And, considering this is a mobile truck, obviously wood burning pizza oven, that's kind of out of the question. That's like a lot of work and a lot of logistics that you got to plan for. And I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to carry wood around with you every time you need to cook pizzas. So propane is definitely the area that we're going to go. I kind of like this simple design right here. It's like just an arcing piece of sheet metal. So let's kind of play around with that idea. And here's what we're going to do for the pizza ovens. Right now, we're just going to make a general shape that we want them to be, just to get some sizing ideas, and then take them and design them on the mirror plane so that everything we do is symmetrical, and then we can save it. We can bake the mirror and duplicate them out once we have a nice, finished pizza oven that kind of represents what we want, or the level of detail, I should say, that we want. So let's swap over here to built-in models, drop in this guy here for reference. Let's assume this is Massimo in the back, cooking up some pizzas. I know you, Mas, you're not that tall. Yeah, so we'll use this guy as reference and pretend he's Massimo back here making pizzas. So let's make him a brighter color, tune material, and I've seen him make these things before. Basically, it's got this like wooden thing that he reaches in and grabs the pizzas with. And there's, the giant opening for the oven. So this kind of looks correct scale-wise. So what we're going to do is group Massimo with the pizza ovens, the pizza oven stand-in, I should say, and duplicate him out here. Okay, so now that we have him duplicated out, let's ungroup him and rotate this so that it's generally on the mirror plane, and start building our pizza oven here. So we know the depth and we know the width and we know the height now. So what we're going to do is create a new layer here. Massimo, drop him on the Massimo layer, and then create a new layer here. And this is where we're going to start building that pizza oven. So first, let's just like loosely sketch out what we want this to be. It's always best to do a quick sketch. It's pretty cheap to do as far as time goes. And I mean, it's going to save you a lot of time in the long run. So let's grab these two images here, place them right here so that we have them as reference, and lock the reference again. We don't want to move any of that stuff around. And then let's also lock the Massimo layer here. So that's the mannequin and the spacing that we have here. So there's obviously plenty of types of pizza ovens and pizza styles, but pizza oven styles, let's say. But we're gonna just try and quickly make one that works for this design. So let's sketch the bottom right here, and then let's assume this is being made out of like a nice thick sheet of black steel. And so we want some shape here. We obviously have the arch of the pizza oven, like that, but I also like having, this arc come out here with just a little bit of flair like that. And yeah, it's just a really nice shape. Something else I'm noticing here is they kind of have like, the chimney here, or the stack, and it's coming out the top there. So let's replicate a little bit of that here as well. Maybe we have the steel kind of lead into that. And I mean, that looks generally correct as far as like, I guess, raw dimensions. Yeah, something like that. And yeah, this is kind of cool too. This wood base that they have here is really cool. I wonder if we could work something like that in here. Maybe, maybe not. Okay, and then we want some sort of a base here as well. And then, you know, our pizza is going to be right here, and we're going to have a fire going, and it's going to look really nice. I think that's it. So let's just start building that. Let's turn down the sketch layer here a bit, and now what we're going to do is a clean line layer. So we're going to use the stroke tool here. Press it twice, and you get all these options that you can use. Let's use point mode and planar. So planar is going to be nice because it's going to allow us to draw on that flat plane. Point mode is nice because it's going to allow us to click and drop an edit point every time we press the pointer finger trigger. And then, of course, we can still take that into edit mode and adjust it like this. And so really quickly, we can get a nice clean shape. But now what we're noticing is, or what I want to do is pull this line out in, what axis is that? X-axis a bit, but we used planar. So if I try and pull this out into the X-axis, it's not going to go that way because it's stuck to a plane. So because we have this line in edit mode, we can look at the panel here and actually turn off planar, and now shift that out in X. And that is, I use this so many times because I want to have a line that's, you know, constrained and let's just say like easier to work with. But I also want to, at some point, take that line and move it, you know, move it in another axis, right? To get some crown for the surface of a vehicle, or in this case, some shape on the edge of this oven. And so that's where that tool really comes in useful. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is actually, we just made these curves just to lay down a nice clean surface. So we're going to go to the surfacing tool here, drop initial tension all the way down, turn NURB surfaces on, and then select this guy right here, bridge curves. Bridge curves is going to make it so that we're not, let me change the color here. So no, we're not sketching, you know, ribbons like this. We're going to have a nice clean surface to make between these two curves for industrial design. So hold the left pointer finger trigger, move your arms towards the curves that you want to use, and keep in mind all these sketch lines, I have these all locked so that it's not recognizing those sketch lines. It's just recognizing the curves that we made. Select the curves, see that they're highlighted. Now press the pointer finger on the right hand and drag your surface out like this. And so now we have a nice clean, let's lighten that up a bit, a nice clean oven surface, whatever we want to call it. Let's duplicate it in, make it blue like that, so that we have some thickness to the surface. Again, not the easiest thing to do in Gravity Sketch, but there's like always a way to accomplish what you want to accomplish in Gravity Sketch. So even if there's not an exact function for something, there's for sure a workaround. And I'm going to take that NURB surface and convert it to sub D. And the reason for that is sub D is way more flexible a geometry type. So now we can do what I showed you earlier, which is merge these surfaces together, and connect. Oops. It's being a pain. All right, let's do that one more time. Okay. Merge them together, just like that. Connect the dots. There we go. And give that surface some thickness. And so because it's sub D, obviously it's smoothing right now. So that's why we have these this kind of like weird radius. And basically the way to fix that is to just drop in some more edge loops here. So the more edge loops you have closer to an edge, the tighter radius you'll have on that edge. So if you are a big Modo user or Blender user and you use sub D a lot, that kind of comes as like basic knowledge to you. But if you're somebody that's modeled with NURBS your entire career, something like Alias or Solid, or not SolidWorks, but like Rhino, it's a lot less obvious, and something you need to learn once you start to pick up different tools, different polygonal tools. Okay. Okay, and for the rest of the detail here, we are just going to use the Revolve tool. Okay, and let's just use the volume tool set to planar in the back here for that kind of brick backing. Okay. Yeah, that looks good enough for now. Okay, so let's grab all this and hold it, and then we want to put all of the objects into edit mode because we're going to bake this as one object now. So basically the reason we're baking it as one object is if I want to move this, let's just say rotate it or put it into place in the mock-up that we have over there, and I move it off the mirror plane, now everything moves off the mirror plane with it. It just kind of messes everything up. But we can bake everything at the same time by holding it and long pressing the blue menu button, and that will put everything into edit mode here. And so now we can just click Bake Mirror. It bakes everything, grab it, purple button to group it, and now this moves as just a single object. And so now let's grab the tool belt, point, click, rotate, snap it, and take that 90 degrees like that. All right, awesome. So now let's slide this back, delete the mock-up that we have there, and put this into place. Okay, so again, we want 3 of these guys. So that looks like pretty decent spacing. We can always change that. But before we space them out, let's use the Revolve tool and just make ourselves a smokestack here. And we can make this, dark black as well, and then also just duplicate out some extra detail here, maybe some reflective surfaces like that. Okay, there we go. Cool. All right. Let's move this smokestack up a little bit higher. Right about there. Ah, it's all mirrored. Okay, we can fix that. Same way, long hold blue button, unmirror that, and we missed one. Okay, now we're good. Let's group it all together, and before we move on, let's just take a look at what some of these smokestacks look like. This one's like super modern looking, I like that. So let's make a simple smokestack. Probably noticing that a lot of what I do is making a quick shape and then putting it into edit mode, and seems to work for me. I enjoy building with that technique. So if you haven't tried that, I think it's pretty quick. All right, shift this down and let's add a little bit of unnecessary detail with polar symmetry. Set this to 4. And yeah, something like this. shift that down. Okay, cool. Now, there's always another thing to do. Okay, hold on. There's one last thing I want to do here. I want to give like some sort of a something here to like a cook plate. I don't have enough detailed pictures to build it correctly, so I'm just gonna have to improvise for now. But that's all right. We're not designing pizza ovens right now. We're just trying to block out a concept. So let's make this black, lower it, and then let's come in here with the Revolve tool and make just, I don't know, what looks like it would be a pizza plate? Yeah, maybe that works. I don't know. It'll have to do for now. And then let's fake some flames back here as well. So ink tool, let's set that guy to ribbon and scribble in some fake fire. All right, and that kind of tells the story well enough right now. So again, group this together. And duplicate this down. Let's leave just some space between them. Just a couple of inches. And it's starting to take shape. Let's see, and I did everything there mirrored. Keep doing that. Okay, yeah. Let's see if there's any comments. Can I make a women's shoe? Yeah, maybe in a future episode we can probably do that for the next one. Kind of trying to stay focused on a pizza oven or not a pizza oven, like a mobile pizza stand for right now. But we could definitely add some footwear workflows to future lives that we do. It's a good idea. Yeah, actually, if you guys want to see anything made, just drop it in the comments of the actual video, not the live chat, but the comments. And yeah, we're happy to demo anything. Okay, let's just add some aesthetics to this as well. So let's hop in here with primitive shapes and turn on the grid tool here. So beta grid tool, and let's drop in some planters, some concrete planters. Let's turn off mirror here and convert this to sub D. And I'm going to turn off grid again and duplicate this in, duplicate it down, shift everything up. Oh, maybe that's what I should have put here instead of the stairs. Well, can do that in another variation later. Let's place some soil here. And let's see how the texturing works here. So we tried with the wood texture earlier, and I know I have a concrete texture here that works kind of nicely. Let's see how it works here. It looks a bit better. It definitely looks better than the wood texture we did. And it also kind of looks good for soil, I noticed. Yeah, just like that. Cool. And then also you can import, so let's go to Prefabs, import any type of models you want. I believe I brought some plants in from TurboSquid, and maybe we can use those here. They kind of help for setting the scene. So my cloud reference seems to be loading kind of slow. So I don't know if we're going to stick with this. Yeah, this is taking a while. I think maybe I saved it somewhere else. Let's just see if I can find it here on the regular folder. So this is the stuff that's actually saved on my computer, not on the cloud. Plants, here we go. Yes, awesome. So let's click in and load a couple of these plants, see which one we actually want to use. All right, in the meantime, I've actually never done that before where I let something load and decide to work on something else, so it's kind of cool. We're going to add some detail here. I'm going to turn on planar, and we're going to add detail to the roof. Planar, stroke tool, turn off polar symmetry, square stroke, and point click, and then bake the mirror on this. Bake it, grab this point, extrude it down here, turn off end caps. If you don't know what end caps does, you'll see it right now. Turns off the cap for the end there. And great, now that we have that, let's shift these points down, group them, and we are going to array them down the roof here. So grab it, duplicate it, move it, and then you just hold down the right pointer finger trigger, and it kind of arrays the entire, well, for as long as you drag it. Man, this is taking a while to load this file. It must be like a corrupt file or something. Anyways, you can kind of see some of the plants we have here. I have some trees. I think I have a, no, okay. Well, we have this like kind of house plant right here that we can use. Let's grab it, ungroup it, change it to like a brighter color, something like that. Tune material, and you just populate that here. Some nice plants. All right, now this roof kind of changes its pitch. So there's definitely going to be a little bit of manual work here. You know, selecting each one of these and shifting them up. So probably not going to do that right now. Save that level of detail for later. Or if you wanted to get super detailed, you know, with your model, you can always take it to another program that has some of those features that are a little bit easier to do. So like, you know, for instance, I'm just thinking in Alias, it would be very easy to project a detail like that onto a flat surface. And again, you can do it in Gravity Sketch, but it'll take some time. And so you can see in the back here, it kind of worked exactly the way you know that we wanted, and looks nice. It added some detail to it. So it's a little sloppy right now, but it can be tightened up. Looks like I accidentally changed the color of the walls here. Okay, here we go. Now we have the walls again. I have no idea what to make the color of these walls. Maybe just make them green for right now. I think also the part of the problem is I don't have any thickness for the walls right now, and the interior and the exterior of the walls are the same color. So that, I mean, that obviously is not going to look good. And you know, I'll have to add thickness to these walls, which I should probably do now. But let's just check out the comments here for a second. Oh, what's up? Hunter's here. Keep the walls gray. Looks awesome. All right, we'll do that for Hunter. Yeah, I mean, it does kind of look modern. Maybe if the interior of the wall is a different color, it will look better. So let's fix that now. Let's duplicate this up. All right, let's figure out the best way of doing this. I think, nah, that's not the best way of doing it. Best way of adding thickness to the walls here. All right. Man, this is, that's tougher than I thought it was going to be. Okay, well, let's delete any unnecessary edges here. And, yeah, how about we do this? Let's duplicate in and make the walls exactly, they're probably going to need to be about like 4 inches thick. Maybe even 5. But let's start with 4. 4 inches thick walls. And duplicate this back, and let's do the same thing over here. So right now what I'm doing is I'm just duplicating out the edge and then shifting it back. So I'm not duplicating out an entire surface, but we can. So let's see, let's try 2 different methods. So one, whoops, one more time, okay. 1, here, just like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have a 4-inch thick wall here. And I'm going to duplicate that edge down and close it off. And then I'm going to duplicate this in 4 inches. So 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, duplicate this over. Like that. Some things are super easy in Gravity Sketch, and then other things are just not. Definitely not. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Okay, let's duplicate this and move it exactly an inch. Okay, now I'm going to delete these faces away. So we've essentially duplicated out a surface exactly 4 inches, exactly where we need it. And it's still going to be pretty difficult, but okay. Good, good, good. Just kind of realizing, like, if you're using inches, it should probably snap every inch instead of every individual inch instead of just 1 inch. For some reason, it just snaps to 1 inch, and then all snapping features go away. Okay, that's all right. We're making progress, though. We have our wall thickness. And it's looking better. Oh, God. Wait, which one's correct? Okay, I know which one's correct now. By the way, if you are using Gravity Sketch right now in your workflow and you realize that there are features that need to be developed like this, please contact us. Let us know. Let us know that it's a pain point in your life and that you want that fixed, or you think it's something good to add on the roadmap. No guarantee that it's going to happen in a super short amount of time, but it definitely does all get, we take note of all of it. And I think you've probably heard Jaron say it 1,000 times on this channel when he's doing a live, but it all matters to us, right? Like, that is, we're trying to make a tool for creators, and we take the input of creators very seriously. So if you find a tool or you have a workflow and I mean, you think it would make other people's lives easier and it would definitely make your life easier, please, please, please let us know. All right, so the next thing I want to do actually is also potentially painful, is split the wall here and have 2 different colors. So here's what I usually do whenever I want to segment sub-D geometry. I make the split with usually an edge loop, and then I delete the 2 different parts. So for instance, if this was the interior of a car meeting the exterior of a car, no, that's a bad example. If you had the greenhouse for a car and you designed it and built it so that it was connected to the body and you wanted to separate them, you would duplicate out two versions of the object, right? So then this would be inner and then this would be outer. And then you separate them like this. And now I'm going to lower this one down, match it up. And what's nice here is we can actually use snapping. So I can turn on snapping and snap that to the inner object here. Just like that. Yeah. go. And now we have an inner and outer wall for this thing. So let's make the inner wall green, some sort of green maybe. And sweet, let's lower it down here and put it into place. I don't know, what color should the inner wall be? Some wood color? Definitely not. I'm gonna leave it like that for now, and just scream at me in the chat if that doesn't look good. Oh, also, let's shift all of this out. Now we have wall thickness, so obviously we need to account for that. So now we have even less room to walk around in here, which is fine. That's a reality. It's a reality of the situation, and that's exactly why we're mocking it up in 3D in a very cheap way before building anything. And I still like an idea of a lip here on the outside. Okay, let's see if anybody has anything in the comments. I'm probably boring everybody at this point. Is there a way to resnap to the axes of a previous Revolve object after Tim? Yes, there is. Let me show you how. Okay, so if we take the Revolve tool and we place the axes, let's say we place it perfectly, snapping it to X, right? Because we're making a wheel for a car or something. And we draw our shape, and then we accidentally move the axes, or we just decide to come over here and you know, design some other stuff. And we want to come back and add more detail to this original wheel that we were designing. You can re-snap to that axis by not pressing any buttons at first, just highlighting the geometry that you want to re-snap to. So I want to snap to this axis, I'll highlight this geometry, and then I will half hold the pointer finger trigger, which is how you place the axes, on the left-hand controller. And once I do that, once I've highlighted it and half held this, you'll see a piece of UI that shows up, those 3 arrows. And as soon as I rotate the axes and bring it close to those 3 arrows, again, half holding this, it will automatically snap to it. And now I know with confidence that I can continue drawing on that object, and it's going to be perfectly snapped to the original axes there. So, yeah, hopefully that helped. This thing just looks really weird. It doesn't fit in with a pizza theme at all, but there is something I like about it. Maybe if we made it bright, like a bright color like that. I don't know. That could be cool. Okay, so I'm just going to stack some pizza boxes up here real quick, and then go on with the rest of my day. We'll stop this session, and yeah, this was a good exercise for just, you know, like the first time mocking this up. And you learn a lot of things too. So for instance, like you might need more counter space here if this was specifically going to be for, you know, stacking boxes in like this, in this like stacking station or whatever. We didn't build the sink out yet. We didn't do a lot of things, but this is a really good, let me change it, really good first run on what this potentially could look like. And in fact, let's change this to Voza Pizza. Caps lock it. Maybe we shrinkvosa or shrink pizza. I'm not sure. We'll leave it like that for now. No, wait. We'll do this. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed this live. Let us know in the comments if it was helpful. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. If you want to see something specific in the future, want to see us demo something specific, please drop that in the comments. That helps so much. Yeah, I pretty much promise this every week, but maybe I'll try and do a render of this once I've, arrive on a final design that I actually like. And yeah, we'll share that on the Instagram. But yeah, and by the way, if you're building things or if you're using the iPad app especially, please share it with us over Instagram. We want to see what you're making. We want to see what you're creating. The iPad is new right now, and it's still like a young application. So we're doing a lot of exploring with it. So is everybody else. Give it a try. Download it. It's free. Let us know what you think. Awesome. Thanks so much, everybody. And I'll see you in the next live.